Washington, D.C., November 22nd, 1961. 6 dogs entered a classified laboratory. None of them knew they would never walk freely again. Their skulls would be opened, electrodes planted deep inside their brains. And for the next year, the Central Intelligence Agency would control their every movement with the press of a button. This was not training. This was MKUltra Subproject 94. The public would not learn about it for 41 years. Hey viewers, kindly comment where you are watching from and the time. Now let's continue. By 1961, the Cold War had entered its most paranoid phase. The CIA was already deep into Project MKUltra, a sprawling program authorized in 1953 to develop techniques for controlling human behavior. The agency publicly portrayed itself as a defensive intelligence organization. Behind closed doors, it was conducting 149 sub-projects on unsuspecting Americans, electric shocks, psychedelic drugs, sensory deprivation. But humans were not the only subjects. On December 1st, 1961, the CIA allocated $55,222.90 to a new program, approximately $600,000 in today's currency. The budget line listed $2,000 for experimental organisms. That was the price of 6 dogs. The official objective, buried in redacted documents, to examine the feasibility of controlling the behavior of a dog in an open field by means of remotely triggered electrical stimulation of the brain. This was Subproject 94. And it worked. In 1961, Americans knew nothing of MKUltra. They did not know the CIA was experimenting on citizens without consent. They did not know animals had become test subjects. And the agency operated through more than 80 front institutions, universities, hospitals, pharmaceutical companies. The research appeared legitimate. The cruelty remained invisible. Inside the laboratory, surgeons opened the skulls of 6 dogs of various breeds. They implanted electrodes directly onto the pleasure centers of the brain. The electrodes connected to wires running under the dog's skin to a harness strapped between the shoulder blades. The harness held a battery pack and a radio-controlled stimulator. When the dog moved in the desired direction, it received up to 50 volts of electrical stimulation to the pleasure center. Positive reinforcement. When it stopped or turned the wrong way, the stimulation ended. The dog had no choice but to obey. Some dogs developed infections where surgical wounds failed to heal. Researchers responded with a more invasive procedure. They embedded the electrodes entirely within a mound of dental cement fixed to the skull. The wires were buried deeper beneath the skin. The dogs could not remove them. Experiments with negative feedback, jolts to pain centers, caused animals to stop, ball up, and not want to go anywhere. The final report noted the relative ease with which a dog may be trained to respond. For the humans, it was a success. For the dogs, it was torture. The declassified final report outlined multiple battlefield applications. Remote-controlled dogs could scout for radiation, chemical agents, or enemy troops. They could carry messages and ammunition across terrain too dangerous for soldiers. And then buried in the text, a darker line, a dog may be used as a guided missile in destroying small strategic structures. The dog would carry explosive charges, detonated remotely by radio signal. The report acknowledged plainly, these applications involve destruction of the animal. Living suicide drones. Subproject 94 was abruptly terminated on November 30th, 1962. Exactly 1 year after funding began. The official reason: limited space to conduct experiments away from public view. The dogs were too easily distracted, but the research did not die. The anonymous author of the final report imagined an automated control procedure that would guide animals without human intervention. Future experiments, the report suggested, should expand to a range of species: bears, yaks, animals capable of carrying heavy payloads across hostile climates. Essentially, assassination drones. The files were buried in classified archives. In 2002, the CIA declassified documents related to MKUltra Subprojects, among them heavily redacted files on Subproject 94. In 2018, additional materials surfaced through Freedom of Information Act requests filed by researcher John Greenwald of the Black Vault. One letter, file C00021825, described the creation of 6 remote-controlled dogs capable of running, turning, and stopping on command. The principal investigator's name remained redacted. The public learned 41 years after the program ended. The CIA never confirmed whether the technology was used in active operations. The identities of the researchers remain classified. Documents suggest the agency considered testing on larger animals and eventually humans, but those files, if they exist, have not been released. No one knows how many animals were subjected to similar experiments outside Subproject 94. No one knows if the research continued under a different name. The final report hinted at the ultimate goal: automated behavioral control of living beings. In 1962, the CIA came close. What they did next remains classified.